doing this really fun thing where I'm going to hold my laptop and talk off of it instead of paper. Cool. Hi everyone. So my name is Zoe Brimacombe. I actually decided to run for member at large around noon on the day that applications were due. So right after that, I ran into Prince Hall with my brand new, not filled out nomination package, and I sat down at a table and I put my thing down. I was like, I'm running for councillor elections. Then I went and got food, and I came back. And by the time I come back, like half the table had already signed my form. The other half was waiting to do it, and it just hammered home that feeling that I've had since I've been here, which is that Kings is such a special place. The Kings community is fantastic, and I know I don't need to tell you that. You've all experienced it, which is why I would love to be a part of the KSU's councillors. I want to care for and maintain this precious community. That's also why I'm running for the position of member at large. As a position without a specific category such as arts or science, member at large strikes me as the epitome of communal accountability. Their role is essentially to ensure that all the other councillors do and can do and are doing their jobs, which is very platonic, I've thought about, to assist wherever necessary, and also to consider the needs of students from all programs. So, what do I bring to the table? First of all, positive and driven attitude. Self-explanatory. I always seem to be in between good amount of busy and crying amount of busy, but I promise that I can dedicate myself fully to the KSU and to improving the conditions for students at Kings and the efficiency of KSU processes. Although I'm in my first year at Kings, this is not the beginning of my experience with organizations like the KSU. I've been on planning committees and boards of directors for community theater companies, organizational committees, youth conferences, and leadership trainings. I have extensive leadership experience, including both practical and educational facets. I've done process observing, scribing, facilitation, active listening, you name it, I've done it. I've also had the privilege of education and activity in a variety of social justice related issues, including working for feminism, intercultural competency, fighting oppression, ending rape culture, body positivity, encouraging multiculturalism, the visibility of non-binary and genderqueer individuals, reproductive rights, anti-racism, representation in media for people of color and queer folks, trans rights, LGBTQAP+ rights, and sex positivity. Additionally, I am really passionate about making environmental sustainability happen in all our communities. I'm from the West Coast, so it's really weird to come here and not have 7 different recycling bins. So that's why I've actually been trying to run most of my campaign online, using less paper when possible, and all the posters you see up around will be reused or recycled. Yeah, because I just think sustainability is really important, and as mentioned before, we don't have a green policy at Kings. So as your member at large, I will make your voice heard. I won't try to speak for you, because I feel that no one can speak for my needs better than I can, and I want to grant this same respect to the student body. I want to make myself available as much as possibly can during the week to listen to your opinions on what this school needs and how I can help. Fun. I will have my office hours in the KSU office, but I also want to create separate office hours so I have more time in a more informal setting to speak to students. I really believe that the best leadership comes from the ground up. So the communication from the ground up goes the other way as well, of course. I will always keep you informed on what the councillors are up to, what direction the KSU is moving in. Transparency in general, you've heard it from so many people here, it's clearly a big issue. I will maintain and create ways for students, execs, councillors, and Kings admin to be aware of one another and accountable to each other. I want to see more initiatives like This Week at Kings that strike the balance between informative and fun, which is pretty much something I'm really all about. Maybe you've seen my Game of Thrones inspired posters, which are a cool mixture of information and mediocre Photoshop. So as I mentioned before, also I will bring this passion for sustainability and human rights to the position of member at large. Because member at large doesn't have, doesn't have arts, doesn't have science to focus on, I'm really interpreting it as a position that focuses on things that affect all of Kings. And to me, that's sustainability and human rights. These are issues, they affect everyone here at Kings. They affect staff, they affect students. And we should never be making decisions independent of environmental issues. We should never be putting in place policies without considering their effects on people of all genders that live, study, and work at Kings, etc. I promise to advocate for those people who are too often forgotten in this forum. So in these ways, I will make sure that this unique and extremely special community, extremely special, that was a good word, extremely special community of Kings is upheld and enriched. So thank you so much for your time.
So, first of all, thank you all for coming and thank you all for sticking it out. I know it's been a little while. I'm the last one, I swear. So, as Zoe mentioned, the member at large, it's a pretty unique position. When you work as a member at large on the KSU Council, you're not sort of speaking to or with any particular subgroup of the King's student population. You're working for the whole student body. Which is something that I think is really necessary and really important, because it means that should I be elected, my focus gets to be on all of you guys, and you're all lovely human beings, and so that's something that I would really appreciate. I was late because I was in class, not because I was just being, dumb. And so I guess we've all talked about transparency a whole lot. Transparency and accountability is obviously a big part of being a member at large, and the member at large is really tasked with keeping the members of the council themselves and the members of the executive accountable to the rest of the student body. So they can't just run off to Guatemala with all of their cash. Not that they would do that because they're super cool and awesome people, but I'm here. I would be there to make sure, just in case. So, what makes me a good candidate for this position? And why should you vote me over the very electable Zoe? Very electable. The number one thing that I bring to this position is experience. I've been a student at King's already for 6 years. I actually feel pretty much like a wizened grandma standing up here, because I'm pretty sure I have 4 years in age over everybody. But that's okay. That's actually a great thing, because I think, well, it's awesome to have so much interest and enthusiasm from the first year class, and I'm so happy to see all of you guys up here. It needs to be balanced a little bit with this experience, this knowledge about what King's is, not just what King's is about, but how King's works, the kinds of things that we already offer here, where they are, how to find stuff, all of that stuff is something that I can come and I can bring to the table. I've also been really involved all over campus in different positions. I've taken arts classes and science classes, which I think is a really big plus because not a lot of people do that. I've been involved in different societies, both at Dell and at King's. I've even been on the sports team, which if you had asked me when I came here, I would not have predicted in any way, shape, or form. I've had a really big, my experiences here have been very diverse, and so I think that that's something that I can really use to help address the whole student body with. This is such a special place to me. I wrote in my election platform, which I keep referencing on paper, sorry. I'm not super tech savvy, so as you'll see with the posters, they're very yay, I did a font. And so this is my low tech solution to speechifying as well. I wrote in my platform my best soundbite, I think, which was, "This has been my place, and I want to help to make it your place too, in any way that I can, really." And to me, that means the things that I will actually do for you guys is to advocate for you, even when that gets really complicated, when there are opposing interests within the student body, which happens all the time. I want to seek out underrepresented voices, as Zoe said. I think you made a lot of really excellent points with that. And so students who, King's is a pretty magical place, and so we've already worked really hard on seeking out some of those voices, but I want to continue to sort of push the envelope and make sure that we are still representing people like international students who still don't really have a ton of voice at King's, even though we're getting more and more of them every year. Mature students, like myself at this point. People who are low income, people who are visible minorities. All of these people are people who are still lacking representation at King's. And so what I want to do as the member at large is to go out, find them, talk to them, see what their particular needs are, and bring those needs back to council so that we can start to make change. Another thing that I want to do, and one thing that I really will bring to council, is my experience in working through conflict with care, compassion, and thoughtfulness with a large degree of conscientiousness. And I think that's a particular gift that I have. It's something that I have a lot of experience in doing. Right now I'm working as the supervisor at Alex Hall Front Desk, and so every year there come situations where you need to sort of deal with people who are your friends, but you know, where they've messed up, they've done something that's not acceptable, and so I'm good at navigating that. The other thing is that I want to be here to listen to you. I want to be available to meet with you. I want to do live coverage of council meetings, and so yeah, that's what you'll be getting with me as your member at large.